Welcome, everyone, to the UAW celebration of women. March is Women's History Month. The United States Congress recognized the first week in March as Women's History Week in 1981 and Women's History Month in 1987. Today, Women's History Month is also celebrated in Australia, Canada, and Ukraine. Every year, the UAW brings our unique approach to the history of women in workplaces and unions to our union family. We look back to take pride, comfort, and courage from how far we've come. We look forward to developing a long-range vision for women in our country, society, and our UAW. In 2024, the UAW will leverage Women's History Month to expand our women's department, to mobilize and empower women in our workplaces. We organize women to become leaders in our local unions and in the UAW International. As women gain in position and power, we are better able to take our rightful place in the fight for equality, inclusion, and social justice that has been seen as exclusively male for far too long. The world seems to be a more complicated place today than when we were growing up. But today, women in the UAW and in the United States are not alone. We stand with women from over hundreds of countries around the world to celebrate March 8th, International Women's Day, as a part of Women's History Month. International Women's Day began in 1909 in Europe, but in the US, it was adopted as a way to mourn the death of 146 young women, sewing workers, killed as a fire ravaged the Triangle factory in New York City in 1911. Every year, we remember those young women killed by corporate greed, locked in their 9th floor sewing factory by management so that they could not take a break. International Women's Day never fails to remind us that women today remain the most vulnerable, from Texas to Tehran. During Women's History Month, we celebrate our progress and use that day, that moment, to assess if we're still moving forward or backwards, like in Texas and many other states in which our members live. Every day in March, women around the world and in the UAW recommit ourselves to fight for diversity, equality, and inclusion for all workers. In March, we shout loudly, it is time to stop celebrating and to take up the fight yet again. Not one more woman denied a job and equal pay because they don't have a union. Not one more woman a victim of domestic violence. Not one more woman denied her rights for fear of losing her job. Not one more woman forced to choose between keeping her job and taking care of her family. Not one more girl raped with no place to turn. Not one more woman dies because she was denied reproductive rights and health care. Come, join me in the Women's Department in stepping up to demand equality for all. Come, join me as we make our own history.